Good afternoon and welcome to the Ocean Rowing series of pop-up podcasts in advance of our special Ocean Rowing episode on March 8th. I have here with me Jonathan Harrison, who's the captain of the Pacific Boys crew that just rowed the Atlantic Ocean. So welcome, Jonathan, and I'll go through a few little housekeeping things here, and then we'll get to your story. And I'm really excited to have you.
Likewise, super happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, so we are, we have a regular podcast. It's live stream and then distributed to audio podcast apps. The website is readyrowusa.com, and you can go to that site and get all the links to the audio, the live stream replays, and to anything upcoming that we have. So the things that we have upcoming for March are the big episode on March 8th. I think is that Tuesday or Wednesday? I can't remember. Anyway, it's on this website. And then on the March 29th, we're going to have one on the arts of rowing. So we'll have an author, a sculptor, a painter, and a filmmaker, all who do work relating to rowing. So that's kind of cool. But ocean rowing is like a little bit of a different animal. And these guys, oops, went up. It's too sensitive. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll use my arrows instead of my mouse. We had on Wednesday, we had Project X, the Swiss team, 2 women who are just like, do you know them, Jonathan?
I met them briefly in Logomera at the start line, but
yeah,
I haven't known them for long.
It sounds, they were just so like enthusiastic and happy, and the whole time, everything I heard from them was like that, and I just couldn't believe how bubbly they were and wonderful, wonderful group of women. And of course, they gave credit to their crew as well, and I'm sure you will do the same. It's not just the rowing. And she said, Marina said that, it's a lot of the work, or even more of the work, is before you get to the start line. And then you just kind of take it one stroke at a time. But we had Rican rowers from the UK on March, on Wednesday also. And all those 2 replays are on the website, or you'll find the links on the website. Pacific Boys today, right now, and then FOar From Home, the group of 4 veterans who raised money, for a lot of money, for the veteran suicide prevention and PTSD treatment. So we'll have a few surprises as well. We're going to have a special appearance for International Women's Day on March 8th from one of the women who rowed the Atlantic, and so stay tuned. Let me just get this up here. Okay, you got, I hate this. I hate that. Like, ugh. Okay, so now, but just one more little housekeeping thing. We are really grateful to our sponsor for this series, The Wave, Coastal and Offshore Rowing Magazine. They have a new ocean rowing episode, a page on their website, thewaverowing.com. And it's a really cool group of people. And Craig Chalk, who's the publisher, was really is going to make this into something great. He just came out with a new episode, or issue. Number 10 is their 10th episode. We also are sponsored by Sykes and Resolute Rowing. Thank you very much. Fabio, you're the best. And Burnham Boat Slings, Peter Kermond is one of our favorite suppliers to the rowing community. I'm sure you've seen plenty of Burnham boat covers out your way, Jonathan.
Yep.
Do you also row like racing shells, or?
Only a couple of years ago, as we were starting to ramp up towards this.
Got it. Yeah. Well, you'll get drawn into it, I'm sure. we'll make sure you do. Anyway, thank you, Peter and Burnham, and also my web designer, Laura Williams of Good Inklings. She keeps me going. I'm pretty much a production company of one, so Laura is like my right arm, and she did this wonderful new website for me last fall. It really works well, and all of our information can be found there. So readyrowusa.com. It's really easy to remember. You can find out. Oops, there's Project X. Row. They're just like, I just love these two. They just exude happiness. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if this was taken before or after they finished, but they seem to be just as happy when they're. Anyway, Jonathan, we'll get to you here in a second. I just want to make sure I'm doing all this. Like I don't have a floor director right now. Ready Row USA. We're on the internet. We love to hear from you. We love episode suggestions and guest suggestions, and we treat our sponsors and our audience very, very well. We like to deliver more than we receive. That's kind of keeps us happy. That's my rowing, Jonathan, Charles River in Boston.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, where is that?
Yeah, I know.
I should be able to recognize this, right? Yeah.
I literally have that burned into my brain. It's just, I don't know how many hundreds of times I've done that. So, but anyway, we have a lot of exciting stuff upcoming for 2022. Rowing for All, Learn to Row, the arts thing that I mentioned, club spotlights, inclusion. That's one of our main themes this year. Access and inclusion to rowing of all kinds, including the ocean aspect. Fall racing preview with Jim Dietz, one of my favorite rowing coaches and Olympic athlete and coach. We'll have a more on gadgets and gear, and we'll have a preview of the U.S. Rowing Convention. Lots of other stuff. We're going to do a Rowing to Recovery episode 2, so we'll be covering breast cancer, addiction, PTSD, and different ways that rowing is incorporated into the recovery and affects the recovery of people. We have a club spotlights, gadgets and gear, and these are all on our website. You can find these forms and submit your news and favorite gadgets. So, Jonathan, how did you decide to do this? And you've never done it before, right? Rowed the Atlantic.
This was the first time. Yes. Yeah.
How did you get interested in it? And did you know your crew before you started?
So I got interested in about 2013. I came across a blog by a fellow named Alistair Humphreys from the UK, who did it with a team of 4 that I believe he put together. I don't know the full history, but I saw their story, and I was like, that's really, really interesting. I really want to do this. After doing a little bit more research, of course, I was like, this seems doable.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I watched the start of the Great Pacific Race out of Monterey Bay back in 2014, and that got me hooked. Meeting some people like Chris Martin and Ross Savage, just legends as far as ocean rowing goes. And yeah, that got me hooked. So then, fast forward 6 years, or I guess 5 years or so, to about 2019. I went to the Canary Islands, saw the start of the Atlantic Challenge,
right,
and saw, it's a really good organization, really well ran. So I was like, well, this is the best opportunity if I'm ever going to have it. So career was lining up fine, and I had the time and the income to do it. So that was really key. And
so what do you do besides
any of these guys?
I mean, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did you have to take off from work to just like prepare and everything?
So, well, yes and no. Any vacation time for the previous 2 years was spent on the row, like preparing for the row, anything about the row. All my time after work was about the row, and then I did take, a leave of absence from work for about 2 months to do the actual row. And
so you weren't hanging out at the pubs in Seattle, or no? I assume that you're in Seattle, or are you in California?
Yeah, Seattle.
Yeah, right. It looks like Seattle behind you.
That's on Lake Union.
Yeah. I spent some of my formative years in Seattle, but I never did rowing until I moved out here. So
It's really nice. It doesn't freeze.
It doesn't freeze.
Yeah.
I did actually a couple years ago had lunch at Ivers on Lake Union, so
Yeah.
I could see the Pocock Club across from there and the boats coming out. And then there was just there were, seaplanes landing, there were commercial boats, there were fishing boats, there were paddleboarders, kayakers, rowers. It's how do these people stay out of each other's way?
It's a little crazy sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
But in winter, though, it's nice and quiet. You're not going to see many people out in the winter, but
so you just rode the Atlantic, and you're called the Pacific Boys. How did that come about?
Our lack of creativity.
Or are you just aiming for the Pacific?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the Atlantic Campaigns is actually running a Pacific race in a few years. So it's kind of like, bad timing. But we call ourselves the Pacific Boys because we're from the Pacific Coast. Me, Kramer, and Mark, who's in the picture there. Mark was our shore team. So he didn't row with us, but he was in our shore team and did a lot of training with us. Nice. So we're all from in the Seattle area, and Isaac's from Santa Barbara. So we're we'll call ourselves Pacific Boys. It's an international race. So, we wanted to represent the Pacific Coast because that's what made us who we are. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. And do you think you're going to do a Pacific race?
I don't think so. You kind of mentioned this right at the beginning. The amount of work that goes into getting to the start of this race is just astronomical. I can't explain how much work that was and how difficult it was. But, having done that, though, it'd be a lot easier to do it a second time. But, I think that the Atlantic row for us, just in general, was so good. We had such a great time that I almost wouldn't want to taint that experience. It was so awesome. And, we just had a great time. So I'm quite satisfied.
Is it, so Atlantic Campaigns is going to run the Pacific race, is that right?
They are, yeah.
Yeah. And is it shorter? Or is
slightly
it longer?
I believe I think it's as the crow flies, I think it's 2,600 nautical miles versus 2,400 nautical miles. It's pretty close. Yeah. But the thing with the Pacific race is because it's been run by other folks in the past as well. You dip south a fair bit right at the beginning because of the currents. So you do this big J kind of across as you go. Okay. So it comes out to be fairly similar distance.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I was following some of the crews, and they were getting blown off course, and
yeah.
I mean, how do you this solo guy? He was fighting for days or weeks or something.
Yeah.
And how do you even he has to rest sometime. And what's a para anchor? I don't know this stuff. It's just
yeah. I mean, sure. A para anchor is just a big parachute you throw overboard, basically. It's it's probably about it's maybe 5 feet in diameter kind of thing. It you attach it to up to 150-foot line and throw it overboard, and it basically catches the current to kind of keep you in place, right? So typically, or at least hold you more stationary than you are moving against the wind, because the boats catch a lot of wind and they'll get blown
I would
backwards.
not be able to sleep. I would think did I put it in the right place? Did I put it on the right side of the boat?
Right.
Yeah. So at any given time, there were two of you rowing, right?
I think at least one. So the way that we did it was that for 18 hours a day, there was at least 2 people rowing. And for those 6 hours at night, there was one person rowing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that lonely, or did you stop and look at the stars and things like that? Or
we made one of the things that was advised to us by a lot of different folks, including Jordan Hansen and Nicolo Parisio, who are two of our advisors for our team.
Yeah, I saw them.
Who gave us so much information. That they were both amazing. So shout out to them, because they're both legends in their own respects. They told us very, very explicitly right at the beginning. The last thing they told us enjoy it. Just enjoy it, because you're never going to see anything like this again, and it's unforgettable. So we made sure to take a lot of time to absorb our environment and really appreciate what we had, because it was incredible, and we knew how fortunate we were to be out there. So
did you see it? I read this thing about flying fish jumping into your boat, I think, and you didn't want it to die in the cabin because it would be incredibly smelly.
They are the strangest thing. I mean, they're kind of cool. They're all flying fish. How novel.
Yeah.
But they get old real fast. Let me tell you. But they, everyone told us this before. Oh, you're gonna hate those things by the end. Hate's a strong word, but they're still
So do
fascinating. But
you just
they
see them
stink.
jumping? Oh, they stink just before they're dead?
Like the moment they die, they smell horrid. I
Oh
don't know
my
what
god.
happens, but like for whatever reason, they
That is
just
so
instantly
funny.
release the worst smell you can imagine as far as
Yeah.
fish goes. It
Oh,
smells like
that's
it's been rotting
incredible.
for a week. So
Well, I want to get into some of the other things you saw, but Lily Lively, one of our audience, wants to say congratulations. Wow. Have you completed your cycle across Canada yet? Is cycling
Mhm.
how you train? Oh, she knows more about you than I do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, Lily. That's awesome. No, I haven't cycled across Canada yet. That was actually I've got like two big goals of mine, before I die. I want to make sure I cycle across Canada and row across an ocean. So, um,
you've done it.
uh,
One
cycling
of them.
across Canada I have not done yet because it takes way more time off work. So it was funny because it was like cycle across Canada or row across an ocean. I was like, which one do I do? I picked the ocean because it actually
It's-
required less time off work, ironically.
well, hopefully you can, you'll be a better person and you'll be more productive in your in your job. So for all these experiences, at least you'll be healthy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit, and before we get in, and at the end, I want to touch on your charity because that is kind of how I really got interested in ocean rowing because I saw
Mhm.
that all the teams were doing this amazing fundraising.
Yeah.
Um, but tell me, did you see whales, other ships, did you see any of the other boats, the racing boats?
So right at the beginning, we were doing pretty well actually. I think we were in first for a few
I
seconds.
know, I heard you, I saw you, I was tracking you on that app,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I said, yeah, you guys are
We're
yeah,
doing
but
great.
I
um
just to get there is a big accomplishment. So
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we were
yeah,
super happy just to even be, anywhere near the front of the race. Like
for
we
sure.
didn't know how we'd do. But our line at the beginning was quite good, but then it got bad because the doldrums came down from the north,
Mm,
which was unseasonal. So in most years, our line would have been quite good actually, but unfortunately, we
mhm.
we didn't go far enough south. But that's fine. But no, we did see lots of whales. I think we had 3 whale sightings. We actually swam with whales, which was a highlight for me personally. Like I don't really like getting in the water,
You got off
but
the boat and swam?
yes, that's yeah. You're
Like,
always
how
clipped
far
in.
out were
You're
you?
always clipped in.
Oh,
No,
you
you
always
don't.
lived
You're always clipped in or tied
yeah.
on somehow. That yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
you don't
what's
want
the
to.
the guy from Rick and Rowers told me. He said, "No, no, no, never unclip, no."
No,
Yeah.
that's the way to die. Yeah, it's
But
it's
what
scary.
kind of whales were they?
The ones we swam with were minke whales, so they
Yeah.
were up to maybe I'd say between 12 and 20 feet long. Was how big they were, and then we saw another one. We saw them twice, I believe, and then we saw another
Mhm.
one which we think may have been a sperm whale. We need to get the video out to our marine
Right.
biology friends to see what they think,
Yeah.
but it was at least. I mean, our boat's about 30 feet long, so it was at least the length of our boat. Um, you know, uh,
How close were you to it?
very close. I mean, the minke whales were literally close enough we could touch them with our oars. We didn't, of course, but
Mhm.
they were that close. They were really friendly.
Yeah.
One of them did a spin beside the boat, which was like,
That's worth the price of the
it's
ticket right
insane.
there, you know?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. And then the other one, the sperm whale, like we just caught it somehow, just hanging out at the surface, and I was like,
Yeah.
are we gonna hit it? Are we gonna hit it? I mean, we got within like 10 feet.
Oh
Um,
my
but
god,
no, it went and dived down, right in front of us, and then we saw it kind of go underneath the boat and
were you afraid
disappear
that
behind us.
it would come up under your boat and just, like, flip you
Oh
into
yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
like we saw whales on the Pacific when we were training, and they got really close to us as well. And no video footage, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
um, we could hear them during the night, which for
Mhm.
me was as captain was like, oh shit, like
Yeah, I know.
what's
Where
gonna
are
happen here?
they?
Where are they? Are they gonna hit
Yeah.
the boat? Like, I mean, we don't have anything. It's not sharp or anything down there,
Mhm.
so the only thing I'd be worried
Yeah.
about mainly is the rudder being,
Yeah.
destroyed because that would be
Yeah.
really bad.
Did you hear about the Rican rowers?
Did they end up with the marlin?
Yes. They
Yes,
got
okay, they were the
pierced
one.
there and they took on water in that compartment,
Yeah,
you
makes
know?
sense. Yeah, that was
And
one of our biggest fears.
he said, I finally got corrected. It's Reckon, not Reckon.
Yeah.
So but he said it was cosmic because, they had also crashed a boat on the rocks in
Right.
training. So they were wrecking boats all over the place. But was yours a Rannoch also, or?
It was, yeah. We bought ours
Yeah.
used from an Australian team.
Yeah. So are you going to hold on to it or rent it out, or what are
No,
you doing?
it's for sale in the UK at
It's
this
for
point.
sale. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so you were one of the few U.S. teams, and who else was from the U.S. besides?
There was Solo Owens rowing, and then there
Right.
was Ben and Matt from Row for Hope, and then there was FOar From Home, the four
FOar From
veterans out of Florida.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is it Boat of Hope or Row for Hope?
Row for Hope.
Row for Hope. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I think there is
All
a Boat
right.
for Hope in the next 2024.
Yeah, there is. I think that I'm starting to overlap because I've connected with all these people that are doing it in 2022. But
yeah,
yeah, what a great thing. And anyway, personal accomplishment, because it's there, and raising money for this amazing charity, which I think that's how I got, I just saw it out of my corner of my eye on social media or something, the Assistance League of Seattle. And I got a nice letter from them thanking me for my donation.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Yeah. And then I started realizing that all these crews are really doing a lot of fundraising for charity, and it can't be cheap to do this, but it's so amazing that you do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we talked about because we were originally going to do the race in 2020, but then COVID hit, and so we first of all had to postpone our race, but it was also, we were fortunate to be in a position where we were able to continue, with the campaign, and we decided, we have to make this about the community, about helping people locally here, because it just, it's awful, and it still is. And I mean, it's kind of coming to an end, so to speak, for a lot of folks, but at the same time, the economic impact is going to be long lasting, especially for a lot of young families. So that was, Assistance League was stuck out to us as being a really good place to join forces with, and so we spoke to them, and they were amazing, as you've seen, and that was it. It was an easy match. So,
and do you have any sponsors that you'd like to give a shout out to before you?
We have a bunch. They're all on our website, so please check them out. So yes, a lot of awesome local companies in Seattle, and others as well. So yeah, I don't want to name all of them, but
Prism, Becky G Studios, Canal Boat Yard, Tropical Shipping, Grey Wolf, Drift, Yugo, and Elia Bay Marina.
Yes. And Affinity Ventures, I think, is in there too, and Prism. Anyway, yeah.
Those are the first three.
Yeah.
Cool.
All brilliant. They so awesome. We had so much fun working with a lot with all of them, honestly. Yeah. And we're looking forward to sharing more of that on our social media.
Well, that's very cool. And so I hope that you'll jump on Tuesday. Let's see, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Yeah, Tuesday the 8th. And you can heckle Ryan Worth. He's actually a 2011 Atlantic rower.
Oh, wow.
He did that. He said he lost 40 pounds or something.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, did you guys lose 40 pounds? Or 20 to 40 years, I heard.
I lost 15. Isaac lost 7 because
what?
I know.
When did he sneak some cheeseburgers on or something?
Isaac is the only person I know who probably could have gained weight on one of these rows, because he eats like crazy, and I mean, he's just an insane athlete to begin with. So then Kramer lost 30 pounds. So
30. Oh my God! Did you do the before and after thing that Atlantic Campaigns is putting out now?
All those pictures? Yes, we have those now.
I'm gonna look yours up. Yeah.
We'll eventually get them up there.
Right. Well, I am so glad that you came on and that you got my attention. I knew Ryan from a long time ago, and I knew he had rowed the ocean, but I just didn't really think of it as a thing to cover on the podcast. But I'm so glad I did. It's caught my imagination. I will probably never do it myself because I get incredibly seasick.
So does Kramer, actually. So
yeah. Oh, really?
There's lots of ways to mitigate it.
Yeah, that's what Monica and Sonia were saying. You just ignore it. They say, just ignore it.
Well, I don't know if you can do that, but
Oh, anyway,
I wish that was true.
Yeah, I don't know how. It's like a fate worse than death to me. I just can't stand it.
It is awful.
Anyway, you're the best. Thank you so much for doing what you did and drawing attention to this charity and this just amazing human accomplishment. I'm so impressed. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Charlotte.
Yeah,
it's really nice to talk to you too.
Likewise.
Always want to share the story.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see you on the podcast. If you jump in and type comments, we'll put them up like we did with Lily's comment here. So
awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right.